What's good, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Land Grant Podcast Network's Power 2 Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jordan. I'm here with my co-host, DJ.
Hey, good morning, afternoon, evening, late night, whatever.
One of them.
Yeah,
How
either
you
way.
living?
I feel good. I have my hair in a ponytail today, so I feel very like I just want to swing it. I have my coffee in my cute cup, which I still need to send your wife. I keep saying this so that way I will eventually send y'all some damn cups.
Mm-hmm. By the time you remember, they're not gonna have them no more. You know they be changing styles.
I know. I'm sorry. But yeah, living life, living large, and take charge.
We love that. Truly.
Yes.
Truly love to see it.
Babs. If y'all do not know, that is from the movie Babs.
I did not know that.
Yes, it's the scene when they walk up to the
movie.
mansion. Oh, what? Wait, stop. You've never seen Babs?
No.
With Halle Berry?
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's on Tubi, which means you have no excuses because Tubi is free.
Okay.
Please watch that movie. It is hilarious. It's also like very like Black girl empowerment. Honestly, the One of Them Days reminds me a lot of Babs. It has the same kind of like vibe. Have you seen One of Them Days at least?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has the same sort of vibe, like the 1-2 punch comedy, girl power adventure sort of friendship is the best thing ever sort of story.
Interesting.
But it's also 90s, so the comedy is really good.
Yeah. One of Them Days was interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. It was hitting too close to home. You can't play around with rent. It was too serious to laugh. That movie shouldn't have came out in a recession. Shorty was playing around with that rent money too much. I'm like, I want to laugh, but also I want to pile drive.
I want to punch her in the eye. What do you mean you gave it to old boy?
Like we couldn't have been friends no more. And then Shorty gave it to her again. Like, come on, like no, it was a good movie, but it was too serious. It needed to be on about something else. Like make it about the light bill. I know it wouldn't have been as funny, but yeah, Rent.
You wouldn't have had the same intensity if it was about the light bill. It had to be Rent.
I was struggling to laugh just thinking about what I would do if somebody didn't pay their rent.
There were points in the movie where I was like, I am going to slap this bitch right now. Like, what do you mean? Like, even when she was at the interview and she was interviewing for the job and other hijinks happened that I won't spoil for people, but the hijinks that happened while she was at the interview,
I would be like, are you
girl?
That's right now. So yeah, it was a good movie, but it was.
But that's how Issa Rae is. Issa Rae creates those types of layers in her art.
I know. It was just a little too serious for me. It was a little too serious for me. Somebody drug money or something, and then I'll laugh.
Be like a big worm and smoky.
It was once you get to the rant, it's just oof.
Jordan's like, it is no longer funny if there's rent involved.
Yeah, no,
Jordan is like, I'm too stiff for this.
Yeah, I don't be playing, and you lost me at rant, but no, it was a good movie. But yeah, it's all right. We living. If you remind me, I may watch the movie. I also may not watch it until you put them cups in the mail. I think that's a good deal. I can't be doing what you asked me and you not doing what I asked you. That was like
clicking a button is different than I guess I'm clicking buttons too, aren't I?
Yeah, that was like 2 months ago. You said it's like right up down the street. How many times you been to Walmart since then?
Actually, I haven't. And I have no groceries in my house, and so I probably should take my ass over there. But I'm just in general, I have not been to Walmart.
Okay. That's a conversation for another day. Anyways,
I get my groceries at Aldi sometimes. Like, I don't always go to Walmart to get things. It's like when I run out of laundry detergent, then I'm like, ugh, let me go to Walmart.
All right. Well, I need you to go to Walmart.
I'm not out of laundry detergent.
Okay. Well, they about to be out of.
I'm gonna stop playing.
We have a podcast to talk about.
That is what we're
doing. We also
is.
have a podcast that you can find on YouTube.
Yes.
If you're not listening to YouTube.
Look at Jordan's beautiful face.
Yes. And next time you see me, I'll have a haircut.
Oh my gosh.
Right now, but next time you see me, I'll have a haircut. It is. But yeah, you also follow the podcast on Get Defensive Sports Network on YouTube. But anyways, DJ, what are we talking about today? We are talking about the NFL draft. That's it. That's all we're talking about.
That is all you're getting out of us today. Is because realistically, You want to talk about hijinks? You want to talk about stunts and shows?
Listen, we'll get to
The
that.
damn NFL draft.
We'll
Like
we'll
I'm.
we'll yeah we'll get to that. Um, yeah. Side note, Shorty ruined my draft watching experience because you know how I talk about like I don't watch one versus like I don't watch one kind of covers, like I don't watch like ESPN and the other one,
Oh
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
watch like, and she was just like, oh, so you're watching the modern day slave auction, and I'm just like, oh my god, and then I was like explaining the difference, and she was like, technically the one you watch is closer to the slave auction because they actually talk about
Talk about them like they're
their
cattle.
yeah, like they actually talk about their performance on the field and how
Yeah.
good they would be. It's like I understand like technically it is more like today it's more traumatic and like crazy to like hear all the backstory and the this person was died and shot, but like technically if we're talking about it, the one where they talk about height, weight, speed, and how good they'd be on the field, and so she ruined my draft watching experience. Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah. A particular individual who I was talking to also mentioned their thoughts about how it's a slave auction and things like that. And just to be clear to the listeners who want to be dense, when we're drawing that comparison between a slave auction and all of these drafts, if we're being honest, it is because it is basically you are taking the body most of the time, obviously not all of the time, but most of the time, a black body, and you are reducing it down to what its abilities are. And then you are selling them essentially to the highest bidder. Okay. That is what a slave auction is. They were taking these black bodies and they were saying, this is what they're valued at. These are their skills. This is what they can and cannot do, whatever languages they can speak, all that other stuff. And then they were giving it to the highest bidder. Now you have the NFL specifically. I feel like the NFL is the worst about this, but the draft in general is like this, where these young men they put values, they put dollar values on them, and they put dollar values on them based on their ability to perform. And they come to this combine where they show these different skills, and these people are evaluating them down to the length of their toenails to figure out if they should, quote unquote, own them. And these NFL ownership teams and the organizations do, in fact, feel and act like they own these people. They do. Sorry. They act like they own these young men. So, and it feels like that even more because it's majority young black men who are being evaluated in this way. Not saying that there's no white athletes, but let's be for real. Like, I know I'm not sure of the percentages, but I know it's over 50, okay, in the NFL that are black men. So, just in case you feel like being dense.
So that was fun. It was like I was trying to watch the draft and I got that in the back of my mind the whole time.
Yeah. That's also why I don't watch the draft too much, because I don't like when they get too deep into like he's 6'2" and he can do this and he's such a stud. And then, like when they start talking about them like they animals, I'd be like, all right.
Time to go.
You know, I'm be like, okay, just let me know who the Cowboys picked when it's all over. Just give me a little rundown. Not one wide receiver. Jesus Christ. Go ahead.
Well, okay. So draft-related news, of course. Ohio State had 14 draft picks. I am very disappointed because I just knew we were going to tie or break the draft record, which is 15. And we had 3 players left on the board. If one of them hadn't have gotten injured, he absolutely would have gotten drafted. But he got injured later in the season, and like he was good, but he wasn't that good. So I feel like he would have been like 6 or 7. But once you get injured, they don't want to waste that pick on you. So that should have tied it. And then we had another offensive lineman who maybe people didn't like as much, but like I just thought he would be worth like a 7th round pick. So I'm like, we might get 16. Nope. Got stuck at 14. Nobody drafted in the 7th round. And so, I mean, 14 is our record, Ohio State, and the Big Ten record. 15 is held by Georgia. But like, I just thought that this was going to be the year that we did it, especially because the draft started so good with 4 first-round picks, and nobody predicted that. So it's like, all right, like we might. And then a couple players, like there was a linebacker who got picked earlier than people thought. So I'm like, all right, maybe. And then you also think like sometimes you get like the national championship bump, right? And then there's 2 former Ohio State coaches who just left, who are in the NFL. One Justin Fry with the Cardinals, the other one Chip Kelly with the Raiders. So you think, oh, maybe. And then of course, one of the ones that I was hoping was going to get drafted to break the record immediately got picked up by Justin Fry and the Cardinals. They just didn't draft him.
Oh, they started doing those undrafted signings.
Yeah,
immediately.
they sign him. They do that, and like they signed him within like 5 minutes to an undrafted contract.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dog, you couldn't have just drafted him.
Use the pick.
You couldn't have just used the pick so we could get the record. Like, please, like, help me, help you. Like, what are we doing
They
here?
said they are not worried about Jordan's personal agenda for
It's
Ohio
not
State.
my agenda. It's Ohio State's agenda. Ohio State wants to break that record. So, but either way, 14 draft picks. It was the most in the draft. That was cool.
That's lit.
And then draft picks by conference.
Oh my
SEC
gosh, this is so
led, of
interesting.
course, with 79. And
Yes.
Georgia had the most draft picks out of the SEC with 13. Texas had 12.
That's not bad for Texas.
So this is
it's actually the first time they've had that many since 1987. So
yeah, I mean there
cool.
was a long time where Texas wasn't even getting anybody drafted. So like Texas is back. Like they're good again. They're getting draft picks. They're developing players. That's pretty solid. The Big Ten was second with 71 players drafted, led by Ohio State, of course, with 14, and then Oregon was next with 10.
Come on, Oregon.
The ACC had 42 players drafted. 42 players drafted, led by Miami with 7, but Miami had the number 1 pick. Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami. That was nice. But Miami led the ACC with 7. Yep. One interesting thing, Clemson only had 3. So if you're wondering about the state of where Clemson is right now,
there you go.
Only getting 3 people drafted tells you a lot about what's going on in their program. The
Virginia
Big 12
Tech had 5 is interesting. Virginia
Tech has some players.
Some players.
It just doesn't contribute to wins. I don't know why, but they got some players. Yeah. They do. They always have some players. The Big 12 had 31. Colorado and Iowa State tied.
No, it's a 4-way tie. Colorado, Iowa State, Arizona, and Oklahoma State.
All right, yeah. I don't know why I just stopped at Iowa State.
I was like,
Colorado, Iowa State, Arizona, and Oklahoma State all tied with 4. Obviously, we know Colorado had
Travis Hunter,
Shedeur, Shiloh. Did Shiloh get drafted? No, he signed undrafted. Yeah. Jimmy Horn Jr. got drafted, and then there was someone else. Iowa State.
They said they had the most wide receivers drafted, so it must have been one of the.
So it must have been 3. Yeah, they had 3. Yeah. They had Travis, who's technically a receiver, Jimmy Horn Jr., and then I don't remember the other receiver, but yeah.
Let's see. Maybe this links to who these people are.
Iowa State had 2 wide receivers drafted. They both went to the Texans. I was very happy about that because I like their wide receivers. Independent was 7, whatever. Notre Dame had 6 players drafted. That's pretty solid for them. And I just want to say it does not count for the MAC technically because they played at other schools, but the MAC had multiple people drafted who transferred, but only for their senior year. So like technically no, but like for example, CJ West, who's a defensive tackle that was at Indiana, he was at Ohio State, he was at Kent State for 3 years. His senior year, he went and transferred to Indiana, balled out, got drafted, but I was very happy about him because but I was very happy about him because he went from Kent State. So that is sort of the draft related like newsy items. Of course, we have a lot more to talk about. But any thoughts on drafts by conference? Any schools sticking out? Anything that you thought was interesting on sort of a numbers basis?
The Power 4 really is the Power 4. They made up 223 of the 257 picks. So 86% of the draft came from the Power 4 conferences. So if you're ever wondering,
you're doing this wrong, by the way. You're supposed to talk about how much the Power 2 had.
I'm getting there.
I was on Twitter wanting to I was on Twitter wanting to promote our show so much because after the first round they're like the Power 2 had 26 out of 31. I said y'all better say it. I almost wanted to drop the link. I almost wanted to drop the link, but yeah.
Yes. Also, if y'all are lost as to what that's why our show is called that. I mean, we are a powerful duo as well, but yes, the Big 4 getting 223 out of 257, and then on top of that, 150 out of those 257 were from the Power 2. I mean, come on, like. There's a reason why the SEC and the Big 12 are hailed as the best conferences. As y'all know, I hate the attitude associated with the SEC. But what did I say?
12.
Sorry, Big 10. Sorry. As much as y'all know, I hate the attitude associated with the SEC, though, because, but they low key have a reason. They have a reason to be like we're the best conference in football because the numbers show it. Like, but Big Ten to me has better vibes. What else? I was looking at the ones that, of course, the two schools who had the most picks that were not in either the Big Ten or the SEC, and that's Miami, but also Notre Dame. I love that Notre Dame is very much like, we are a football superpower and we don't need to be in a conference with two Negroes. I just love that. I don't know why I'm obsessed with it. I just live for Notre Dame's athletics in general. So shout out to them for having 6 players selected in the draft. But Bama still having 7 is very interesting.
And or only having 7, depending on how you want to look at it.
And if you want to, you
another
can look at it
one,
that way too.
Another one that's interesting. USC only had 3. I mean, it's just like you can really like I understand that the draft isn't perfect, especially because some of these people are just like legitimate idiots and things like that. But it does, in general, sort of tell you about the state of someone's team. Especially when someone drops, right? Like when 2 years ago USC has 10 or 11 or whatever, and then this year they have 3, and they struggled to get to 500. It's like, oh yeah, they don't have talent. Like Lincoln is not bringing in talent. It's like Alabama wasn't as good. They lost talent. They didn't bring it back up. Like Notre Dame, I mean, it's only 6, but they're also sort of young. But you kind of really see these kind of teams, and then also so it's just kind of it's kind of interesting. Like Ohio State was down last year, but it's because all of their players came back. Like Penn State has 5. Penn State has 5, but that's not indicative of Penn State. It's because all their players came back. Next year they may challenge the record. So it's just, but overall, it's just kind of interesting to me. You see these schools and you're like, yeah, they haven't been that good, and then you're like, oh well, USC only had 3 players drafted. There are years where they have 3 players in the first round, so.
Yeah. I mean, of course, obviously, I'm happy about there being 2 selections for SMU. It's been a while since we've had guys actually get drafted. We've had guys that went to the NFL, but they were undrafted. So I love that we are at least at a point where guys are getting drafted at this point. I don't want to sit here and write revisionist history. I do not know the last time we've had people drafted, but I know it's been a drafted at all. I know it's been a minute, so not a long one. I think we had somebody get drafted maybe 5 years ago or something like that.
I think you had a running Rashad. Did Rashad Penny go to SMU? Why am I thinking about that name with SMU?
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest.
While you're looking this up, I will just say 17 of 18 Big Ten teams had someone drafted. Northwestern's the only one who didn't. All 16 Big Ten teams
he
had
went to
someone
San Diego
drafted.
State.
Interesting. All 16 SEC teams had someone drafted, with Vanderbilt only having 1. But Northwestern is the only Big Ten team who did not get drafted. Have at least 1 player drafted.
Which one? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Northwestern.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. I said I didn't want to write revisionist history. I did forget about Rasheed. Rasheed was our last.
Okay. Rasheed. I knew it was an R something.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's what I was like. I didn't want to.
Rasheed. I don't know why I thought Rashard Penny, but Rasheed Rice. Yes, I know it was somebody.
The point I'm getting at is we don't always have draft picks every year. We had Cortland. He was in 2018. Then 2 years later we had James. Then we had a couple guys who went in the 3rd and 4th round. A couple more guys who went in the 3rd and 6th round. Then our highest draft pick.
Oh yeah, Kylan Granson. I remember he played for the Colts.
Yeah, and then our highest draft pick in a while was Rasheed. And then this year we had 2 guys, Elijah Roberts and Brashard Smith. Both of them, I believe, were transfers.
Probably, yeah.
But again, I'm I don't want to write revisionist history, but the point I'm getting at is we don't always get a lot of draft picks, or maybe we'll only have 1. And so very proud of us. I don't think we haven't had a year where we've had more than 4 or 5. So with us on the incline that we are on, that will be something that I'll be looking at to see are we going to steadily climb these ranks and really be a team that starts to produce multiple draft picks.
Yeah, you had 4 in 2012, 4 in 1985.
Exactly. We haven't gotten more than 4 in a minute.
4 in 83.
The last time we had more than 4 was 1959.
Oh, I haven't gotten that far down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last time we had more than 4 draft picks. So I would love to see us get to a point where we're pumping them out But like I said, this is not indicative of the guys who ended up in the NFL, because a couple of my friends, they just didn't get drafted. They just signed undrafted contracts or were on practice squads and then got moved up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But we are going to take a quick break for the ads, and we will be right back to talk about more things with the draft. I fear that this is going to be a common theme on this show. The
Longest
NFL
part of
draft.
the show.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Power 2 podcast. Please remember that you can find this podcast on YouTube at Get Defensive Sports Network on YouTube, also on Instagram. But really get on that
just
YouTube.
Search Power 2 podcast on YouTube and it'll pull us right on up.
You can do that as well. All right, so let's have a conversation. We are, of course, going to talk about Shedeur Sanders versus the NFL.
We have to.
I have one thing, maybe two, that I have to say before we get into the real conversation.
Okay.
I just want to preface this by saying we are going to say a lot of things about how the NFL conspired against Shedeur. And I also do think that is true. But I hope that Shedeur learns a lesson from this. Not that he deserved this, because he did not. But all of so many kind of reports and even things that he said publicly in the media, and this is something that we talked about in the middle of the year. You're not Dion. You don't need to act like your father. You should not act like your father. Also, Dion acting like that got him in trouble a lot. He was just Dion, so he could sort of get away with it. Like, there are very few people in the history of the sport that can act like he does, but before playing, while playing, and after. And so there's just a lot of conversation. Like, I want to be honest about the fact that there is a lot of conversation about him dogging interviews. There's conversation about Dion not doing interviews because they're like, oh, you have picked 10 and below, he's not going to be there, so why would he interview with you? Why would he go work out for you if you're not in the top 10? There are things that him and his dad did that did not set him up for success in the best and the most important job interview that he'll ever have. I do not want people to listen to this and say and think that we're saying that Shedeur did nothing wrong, but now we'll get into it. The most important thing with this is there is nothing that he could have done that led to what actually happened, because it's not like he killed nobody. It's not like he shot nobody. He wasn't doing drugs. He doesn't have a court case. He doesn't have all of these his biggest character concern, and this is where I open up to you because I know you feel very strongly about this. His biggest character concern is he acts like his dad and he doesn't have the talent to back it up. And that is not a locker room cancer. That is not a bad guy. He is not a bad kid. And so I do want to be honest in that he probably did not give his best effort and show himself correctly in these interviews, largely because of how his dad was talking and the hype in his ear, and also the media portrayed that as well. But none of that should have cost him to be taken. Like, I'll let you talk.
144th pick. Here's the thing. Yes. Okay. Yes. Did he do everything perfectly? No. He's 22. Okay. He's not going to do anything perfectly. 22, 21. I don't think he's 22 yet. He's not going to do anything perfectly. And realistically, he is in a dynasty. He lives in a dynasty. His father has created this name for himself in a way where he is one of the most prolific players that the NFL has and will ever see. And he will probably be on track to be a very, very successful college football coach as well. He's a part of a dynasty. Okay. All of their children, everybody in the Sanders family is all building their own platforms and becoming their own brands and whatever within themselves. That is what is happening. They're a dynastic family, very much like the Mannings. So to me, they behaved the way the dynastic families behave, in my opinion. That doesn't make it okay. But to me, Dion being the way that he's being about his own kid, he acted the way that I would expect any top NFL player with a good, passable, good athlete child would act, right? So, because the other thing too is Travis Hunter did not become a Heisman winner because nobody was passing him the ball. Like, that's the biggest thing that I'm like thrown on. Like, we're not gonna act like Shedeur is trash. He's just not like the most elite to come out of this draft class, but he's not booty cheeks. He needs to be developed just like a lot of these guys. The biggest issue that I have is when you are drafting rapists and abusers before this child.
Listen.
Don't piss me off. Do not start to act like the NFL has this big old morality clause where they just care about the guys being good guys. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit, and I'm not about to play this game with them. When Baker Mayfield was acting the way that he was acting, because he was just as cocky when he got drafted, nobody had anything to say about his attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much as we can make clearances for all of the other things that happen, and I'm not making excuses, I'm just saying, like, they're behaving the way that I would expect them to behave. I'm not saying it's right. I just would expect them to behave that way. To say, no, I don't want to talk to a top 10 team or whatever, blah, blah, because that's what you think he is. Because also the media was projecting him as the top 5 pick. So it's not like they pulled that out of their ass, right? But to sit here and act like he was just so bad, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, where it really spun out of control for me is the Browns drafting Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round.
Be fucking for real.
And people were talking about the Browns drafting him in the 1st round. And so it got to a certain, and listen, I'm going to be honest, because I don't think he's that good of a player. I was even telling my Browns fans I wouldn't draft him with their 2nd round picks, the Browns. Not saying he shouldn't go in the 2nd round, but I'm like, with the pick 33 and 36, I wouldn't have drafted Shedeur. I think the Browns had other things that they needed to do.
Yeah.
And I also feel like the Browns themselves personally set themselves up to draft a quarterback next year where the class is going to be better. And I understand we always do the next year's better, but that is not always true. We definitely didn't do that this year, right? And we talked about this last year, not maybe me and you, but like I talked about this last year, that I knew that these quarterbacks last year were going to get taken because of how bad the 2025 class was, right?
Yeah.
Was Michael
You've been
Penix
saying all
Jr.
year that the 2025 class is stretched. You've been saying that
all
year.
Was Michael Penix Jr. a 1st round pick? Maybe not. You know why he was a 1st round pick? Because they needed a quarterback and they knew they couldn't get one this year. Was JJ McCarthy a 1st round pick? Maybe not. But they needed a quarterback and they knew they couldn't get one this year. Yeah. Was Bo Nix a 1st round pick? Maybe not. But they needed a quarterback and they knew they couldn't get one this year. Right.
He also balled his ass off, though, which I will give him.
This is true. But at the same time, there are at least 4 quarterbacks in last year's draft who would have been the number 1 pick in this draft. Jaden would have been number 1 pick in this draft. Drake May would have been the number 1 pick in this draft. Who went 3rd? Who's the 3rd quarterback?
I couldn't tell you.
So,
I'm not trying to.
Honestly, I don't know if he's better, but he's white. So JJ may have been the 1st pick, but I've never liked JJ. Who else?
Woo!
Jaden,
Caleb Williams went 1st, then Jaden, then Drake.
Thank you. How did I miss Caleb Williams? Obviously, Caleb Williams would have been 1st.
Yeah.
Who went 4th?
Fourth quarterback was Michael Penix Jr.
Okay.
So it goes Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May from North Carolina, and then Michael Penix Jr., JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, and then I think those are all.
Okay, that was it because there was 6. Okay, so there would have been the first 3 easily. There would have been a debate over Michael Penix and Cam Ward, and depending on the team, this one would have been more team specific. Michael Penix Jr. could have been the 1st pick. I don't know about JJ, and Bo Nix absolutely wouldn't have been. So like this draft for quarterbacks was going to be bad anyway. That's why all these teams loaded up, and there were 6 first rounders, and all this other kind of stuff was happening. But next year's going to be really good. So to wrap this back around, the Browns set themselves up to get quarterback next year. Next year is going to have potentially Arch Manning. It's potentially going to have Dylan Raiola. No, that's not true. He has 2 more years. 26 and 27 is going to be good. It may potentially have the dude from who's at Pittsburgh, Eli Holstein, who's really good. He's going to be a 2-year starter.
What's his name? Carson Beck. I mean, he's not like the best ever, but
he's there. Yeah. I don't know. He might need a couple more years at this point, but Nico Iamaleava may be in that draft. And if he's not in that draft, he'll be in 26. 26 will have 26 will have Jaden Rashada. Next year may have Lenora Sellers. Like there are names. Like next year is gonna have Brett Nuss, LSU's quarterback. His last name's Nussmeier. I do not remember his first name, but his dad is a quarterback coach in the NFL. Like for the Saints. Whatever his first name is, Nussmeier, the quarterback at LSU, is going to be in next year's draft.
I think SMU's quarterback. I think he only has one more year too, and he's pretty good. Not first round, but he's pretty good too.
Like Drew Aller is going to be in next year's draft. Like the names are there, so it's like okay, I get the Browns not selecting him second and whatever. To draft Dylan Gabriel, and I want to be clear, they also drafted Dylan Gabriel over Quinn Ewers. Insane. But
Quinn Ewers dropped so much more than I thought he was going to.
6th or 7th round, crazy.
6th round was when I saw he was picked. I was shocked because I thought he had already been picked.
Yeah, it's like
when I saw, I was like,
6th round. What are you talking? Yeah,
Quinn
should have went.
Quinn was 4th round easily. Easily a 4th round.
Quinn should have went back to school for a 6th round pick. But to go back to what we're talking about, there was no way he should have dropped this much. And for the Browns to draft Dylan Gabriel's not a good quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. Dylan Gabriel is not a good quarterback. He is not a good quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. And if you are going to take a quarterback in the 3rd round,
take Shedeur.
And if you don't want Shedeur, but like you can't convince me you genuinely thought Dylan Gabriel was better than Shedeur. I'm sorry. That's where you lose me.
Because at one point it was like, okay, he's not really a 1st round pick. Like, that's fine. Okay, maybe he's not the best 2nd round pick. That's fine. 3rd round, surely, okay, he's going to go in the 3rd round. Like, surely he's going to go in the 3rd round. I wasn't even
worried about it. I'm like, he's going to go in the 3rd round. And it just kept going. It kept going. And I'm texting my friends, and I'm like, no Shedeur? No Shedeur?
No, you did it. After day 3, when he had not get after he did not get picked on day 3, I was like, oh, these are stunts and shit.
Day 2.
I'm sorry.
Because he was picked on day 3,
Sorry, day 2. The draft is too damn long. Stunts and shows. Because I was sitting on the couch yesterday afternoon when I finally got the notification that he had been picked. And I looked and I said, did I say 5th round? Ain't no damn way.
Yes.
Ain't no way. Y'all let 5 rounds go by before you picked a 4,000-yard seasoned quarterback. Don't make me mad. I don't, because here's the thing. After the 2nd round, 3rd round, anyways, all these players need a hell of a lot of development. First of all, everybody needs development. But Jalen Milroe went before him.
And honestly, I get that because the NFL's stupid.
Yes.
I get how they talk. I mean, like, listen, look, we may be getting a quarterback next year because we drafted Anthony Richardson number 4. I understand what the NFL does with talent, right? When they see things and they think that they can fix them. Yeah. I wouldn't have taken him over Shedeur. But again, that one, I can at least see the logic, even if I disagree, because I know what the NFL looks for. There is nothing you can tell me that Dylan Gabriel is better than Shedeur unless you're going to say he has a firm handshake and you like his mental
attitude. Exactly. Shut up. Because statistically,
and honestly, he may even be up there statistically, but he plays in a more BS offense than Shedeur does. All he does is throw screens. Like, I mean, Shedeur throws a lot of screens too.
That's the thing. It's just that's also, but that's the.
But 5th round is crazy.
I'm sorry, that's nuts.
That's not his fault.
I'm sorry, that's nuts. And what I saw too that was starting to really, really just take me somewhere was the way that other Score Center, ESPN, whatever, were talking about other draftees. And one that really stood out to me was the Score Center Buffalo Bills post that they did about their 30th pick, Max Hairston, where they basically showed off the fact that he congratulated every draftee that got drafted before him. And in the Instagram post, they're like, he waited for 3 hours before his name was called, and it cost nothing to have a positive attitude, and da-da-da-da-da. And then there was like another post that was like talking about their draft pick, talking about he has no flashy jewelry, no this, just a good attitude, da-da-da-da. Now you run around, why are we walking around patting these niggas' head, calling them good Negroes? What is going on?
Personally, this is a side note. The only person I want to see on my team get drafted that's not wearing at least some jewelry is an offensive lineman. I don't want my offensive lineman wearing no jewelry. You honestly come to the draft in pads. Why are you wearing a suit? I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
You're out of control. You're out of control. You're out of control.
I want to see my offensive lineman shotgun a beer on live TV when he gets drafted. That's what I want. That's the only position I don't want to be cool. You don't need to be cool. You don't got to talk to nobody. You don't need no jewelry, no nothing. What are we talking about? Oh, you didn't have any jewelry. That is stupid.
That's fucking dumb. And I'm sorry. You're doing this weird ass shit where you're congratulating them for being good Negroes. And I don't like that. Because realistically, to expect an athlete, especially a quarterback, to not be cocky is also beyond stupid. Beyond stupid. The cockiest people on the football team most of the time are going to be your quarterbacks. They're going to be your corners. They're going to be like your secondary. They're all of them niggas cocky. It's going to be your wide receivers. Like those guys are known to be cocky.
Andrew Luck literally said that, like, because like Andrew Luck loves football. Don't get me wrong, but like he literally like Andrew Luck was playing quarterback, if that makes sense, and like he will tell you this himself, like and I don't want to like misquote him, but basically Andrew Luck had a quote basically saying where like when he was in quarterback mode, he would go out to dinner with people and he would order for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how locked in he was with like being a leader and like doing all these things that like he would go out with teammates and with people and he'd be like, they're gonna eat this, they're gonna eat that, they're gonna eat this. Like, and he was like, I had to like get out of that mindset, and it like started to like sap my love for football, especially with the injuries. But like he felt like he needed to be in control all the time because that's what you have as a quarterback. And nobody said anything. You know what they did? They probably ate that fucking steak he ordered. But it's just like it's just like that's just like a weird anecdote that nobody knows, and Andrew like admitted to it because you're just talking about like the mind of an NFL quarterback and like how kind of like psycho you have to be to like really like get into it and that sort of stuff. And so it's just like
it's cocky attitude is something that to me comes with being a quarterback. So what you're not about to do is you're not about to sit here and tell me that there's a problem with with Shedeur's attitude. I don't care. You're supposed to be cocky when you're a high level athlete. That is what is supposed to happen.
Well, I don't know if he's a high level athlete, but
he's a high level athlete in that he's being considered being drafted into a professional league. Everybody's not being considered.
True.
So to me, yes,
he is a high level athlete. Yes,
that's what I'm saying. Everybody doesn't get that chance. So that's my biggest issue is like, we're not going to make this about his attitude because, and this is what I said on TikTok, if y'all want to follow me, DEE_NAYYY. It's the fact that there was something that is so particularly triggering about a Black person, but especially a Black kid, having a high level of confidence and being self-assured. It triggers people. It upsets people because what they want is they want the guys who are going to sit there and just be happy with having a chance. They want the guys who are going to sit there and just be happy with the crumbs that they give them. They want the guys who are so worried about, I got to get my mama out the hood. Oh yes, thank you so much for looking at me. Thank you so much, master. They don't know how to handle a kid who don't need them. Shedeur does not need you. When he gets drafted, he's drafted as a millionaire. He does not need y'all. He doesn't need y'all to validate himself or his value. He knows who he is, and they have no idea what to do with a Black kid who acts like that. It literally breaks the brain. It literally they can't do it. And you see that even with how people react and respond to Angel Reese. You see that how people react and respond to young, Black, confident people. They're like, whoa, because they feel like these athletes should feel just lucky to be there. And unfortunately, you're not going to get that out of a kid whose dad is Shedeur Sanders. Like, what?
I don't like that part.
What I'm saying is you're not going to get the attitude of like, oh, I'm just lucky to be here from a person who's from a dynasty. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so
he's not lucky to be there.
So my thing is, and the reason why I wanted to specifically talk about this and talk about like Dion in this and Shedeur in this, because they do hold some fault. And the example that I give is Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. moved like his dad was a Hall of Famer. You still can't buy a Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey. And Fanatics is trying to blame him, and he's just like, I don't need to sign this contract because I don't like what Fanatics did to my contract in college, so I'm gonna fight it. Marvin Harrison Jr. can do that because he's rich and his dad is Marvin Harrison Sr. And so he doesn't need that. He is also not the sort of happy to be here. I'm happy to sign my name on this line so you can sell my jerseys and I can get this small percentage and I can be in the Madden game, right? So like he is similar in that he has that. But then at the same time, Marvin Harrison Sr. never talked. And the only time he talked was like, I'd be trying to tell my son to be great, to get in the lab. When I talked to him, why did you drop that ball? Why did you run this route? Like, you know what I mean? And Marvin Harrison Jr. was like, I have a lot to live up with my dad, and I'm just trying to chase him. Yeah. Like, I don't want to chase my dad. We play the same position. He's a Hall of Famer. He was my example. And I'm not saying one is right versus the other. What I am saying is there is a small, especially Dion, as the adult, as the grown-up who went on Stephen A's show, who went on First Take, who went on the podcast, who did all of these things, he does need to own some of this. Now,
no, because rich white people act entitled to everything all the time. Why can't rich black people act entitled? Why can't we? White people act entitled to everything when they have money. They feel like the world should just fall into their fucking lap because they have money and they have power and they have influence. Why can't black people act like that?
I don't have to answer that. You know the answer to it.
I'm just saying.
But at the end of the day, like I'm just not going to sit here and act like Dion did not set his son up for failure.
I think it was damned if they did and damned if they didn't, though.
I don't agree with that. Dion, I like, and that's my thing. Like, I think two things can be true, in that the overwhelming majority of this is that he's black, that it's Dion, and all of these things, right? Because at the end of the day, if a white kid did this and he had the same level of talent, he may have been a 3rd round pick. He sure as hell wouldn't have been a 5th. Like, I'm not taking away any of that. But I also, especially as a black man, and we're going to get deep on this podcast, I think there is still a point in time where black men play victim and don't accept what they did in these things. And it is true that these things happen, right? Like, now you can't control how bad it spins out. You can't control all these. At the end of the day, we all can at least control our actions. And Dion acting like his son was the greatest thing on earth when he clearly knew that he shouldn't, and going on these podcasts and going on these things, because at the end of the day, we want to talk about a father who did that. You know who else did that? LeVar Ball. But his kids were good. You know what?
They didn't blackball them because of how LeVar was acting.
Yeah, but because they had the talent. That's the thing.
Shedeur is trash. Shedeur is not trash.
But he's not that good. Lonzo Ball was the 2nd round pick. Lonzo Ball was literally number 2 pick and was winning awards before he got injured. LaMelo Ball is one of the best players in the league and is winning, like, the only one who can back it up.
But we don't know what Shedeur is going to turn into. We have no idea. He might be the best quarterback to come out of this draft. We have no idea. I'm saying we don't know. Just like we didn't know about Tom Brady. We didn't know about him.
Yes, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, even if it's only 5% of it, because so much of the outside factors that affect this have to do with race and all the other kind of things. But at the same time, he did not go into the interview like he was trying to get a job. Like, at the end of the day, you can say, oh, he doesn't need them, he doesn't do all this other kind of stuff. I can't go to a job and say you have to hire me because of how good I did at my last job. Or like, you just can't. At the end of the day, it is still a job interview, and he did not interview for the job.
But when nepotism is at play, all of this shit is stunts and shows anyway.
But you can do nepotism in college. You can't do that in the draft.
No, but I'm saying, like, when you are a part of, again, like, you know, your dad is Deion Sanders and all this other stuff.
But I think Dion overplayed his hand. I think Dion had too much dip on his chip, talking about we're gonna pick and choose where we go. We're not gonna go to that team. He's not gonna play in Cleveland. We're like Dion did do that. Like, he went out and said,
I'm not saying he's wrong for doing it. I'm saying that we would not be picking this apart if this was not a black family. So to me, that's what I'm getting at is, to me, I feel like a victim is what Shannon Sharp is doing, talking about he's being targeted because he's a black man. When you're being targeted because you're weird and you shouldn't be messing with 19-year-old
I don't think Shedeur is acting like a victim. He hasn't said anything like that. Shedeur,
I know, I'm just saying, so like,
but in all this other kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is, like, I'm not gonna sit here and act like especially again, Dion, there's nothing that he did that did not contribute
But
to the
I don't think anybody's
souring
saying
of
that
his
though.
son's image.
I don't think anybody's saying that though. I think the biggest thing is at the end of the day, how even they're being received, how their behavior is being received, and all of that is also being completely over what's the word I'm looking for? Like being overreacted to because they're black. And I feel like that is going to be the case no matter how Deion Sanders behaves himself. Could Deion Sanders have been a little less like open about like we're going to pick and choose whatever and just did it? Yeah, sure, okay. Like he could have been less, but that's not who Deion Sanders is. That's not who we've ever known him to be. Deion Sanders has always been cocky. He's always felt like he's the best thing since sliced cheese. It is
And he
completely valid
was.
for him to think that about his own child.
But
It is
at the
completely
same
valid for him to
time,
be like,
those
my
things have,
child is the
but
best
you
thing
can't,
since sliced
but
cheese.
yes, but you can't say that that doesn't have consequences.
No, I'm not
TJ,
saying it doesn't have consequences,
if
but
you go to
blackballing the baby to the fifth round is not a
it's,
fair consequence.
but I get that. We agree on that. But what I'm saying is, I'm not going to act like there wasn't things that they could have done better.
It's not. But the thing is, do you really believe that
But
if they had done
it's just,
better, that the NFL still would not have overreacted and been dramatic and
I don't
dropped
think
him
he would have.
down?
I don't think he would have been a fifth round pick.
I still think. I'm sorry. I still think so.
I don't.
I'm sorry. I still think so because I also do feel like the attitude about because again, like you had mentioned, Deion Sanders, he didn't get in trouble as probably as much as he should have because of his talent, but there's also still an attitude towards him. So I feel like either way, there was going to be some kind of stunts that shows him bullshit just because it was Deion Sanders' kid. Like it also was.
I don't agree with that.
I do. I'm sorry. I
But
feel
and
like
the
there
thing,
was
but
a
I
level of
also so
humbling the
my,
Sanders name in general.
right. So but I think the difference is that like I'm more attuned with the draft than you are. So like even before this, I've heard the things about the interviews and all that sort of stuff. So I think a part of it is you're coming from it from the outside, but like Shedeur screwed this draft process.
Oh, I
Like
know. I
legitimately,
know he
he
didn't have the
screwed
best
the draft
interviews.
process.
I know.
So at the end, like because at the end of the day, if you do all of these things, and he just didn't take it serious because he thought he was going to be picked no matter what. And it's just like those
Exactly.
things on TikTok and all the other things where it's like I'm wearing this thing to work, and then you get fired. People talking about I wore jeans to an interview and I didn't get hired. Why didn't I get hired? Right? And yeah, right? Let's be honest. If a white person wears that outfit, do they get fired? Maybe not. But you still shouldn't wear the outfit. Like that's what I'm saying. The consequence is not accurate, right? Just like something that I study, right? Like the war on drugs and things like that. Sure, maybe you could have gotten in trouble for having crack, but the consequence of being black and crack was not accurate to the
Not
crime.
equitable to yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. And going crime is crazy because they did not commit a crime. But that all I'm
When
saying
there were people
is
who did actually commit crimes and
yes.
got drafted
And
higher.
so the only point that I was saying is I hope that Shedeur takes the one or two things that is true and that like, hey, I did not portray myself well. And
But
change
he's not
that.
the first guy to act like that.
But he's also not the first person to fall either. We're also hyper aware of him falling because of his name. Like he's not the only. Like I mean, think about it. Quinn Ewers was a seventh round pick. Quinn
Which
Ewers
is insane.
was the number one player in the country, and there's no character things with Quinn. Nobody's saying he didn't mess up his interview. Like he's not the only person to fall, right? Like we are hyper aware of him also partially because of his name. Because if Quinn Ewers was Arch Manning, it would also be a different conversation.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there is a level of unfairness in this, of course, but there's also a level of like sometimes this happens because there's no way in hell Quinn is a 6th-round pick. I'm sorry. What are you talking about? He took Texas, who hasn't been good since Vince Young, to the college football playoffs twice, semifinals twice in games they could have won. They almost lost to Arizona State, and he brought them back. And yes, he was also the reason they almost lost, but he made the throw and he made the check. And so, like,
yeah.
There is a part of this that, like, there is a part of this where it's also there is not the outrage for Quinn because he's not Deion Sanders' son.
Oh, I am outraged.
There's two pieces of this where the Sanders name is hurting him and helping him. But my only thing is because it would be easier to say, oh, he was being punished because of his dad if he also just took it serious, and he didn't. and he just
I
didn't
think
take it
no, I'm not
serious,
saying
and
it's the
that's
only
unfortunate.
thing. I'm saying
I just
all
wish
of
he would
these
have
things
taken
are
it
true.
serious.
All of these things are true together.
And
Like what you're saying and what I'm saying.
and I also, and I've said that, like we talked about this before, I put so much of this on Dion because you have been in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Like you are also a black man. Like you know what the media does to black men. You know what happened to you. You like it's just like a cognitive dissonance where he's just like, I'm prime time, I can do whatever. And then he put that on his kids and they were never him. And that was unfair. Like and even not just it's just like think about it, right? Like people were trying to say like LeBron made one comment about Bronny being, when he was in high school or college, Bronny being better than some players in the NBA, and people won't let him forget it, right? People are saying like he was a bad dad for saying that because you put a bullseye on him for people who are currently making millions of dollars, right? And then he didn't fully live up to this. And Bronny is also being hurt by his dad's name and different things like that. Like there are just things that you
But then again,
should.
that's damned if you do and damned if you don't, because all LeBron was saying was celebrating the talent of his own
Yes.
son, and that's all Dion is doing. Dion is just doing it in
See,
his way. He's doing it in his way. He feels like his son is the best thing since sliced cheese, and that is not a ridiculous mentality when he also thinks he is the best thing since sliced cheese. That's not ridiculous.
I hear you. I think that,
like, to me, he's acting completely on brand. Deion Sanders is acting completely on brand for who we know he is to be.
Yes, cool. 100%.
So why would he stop? I understand what you're saying. Like, I don't want it to be like mistaken.
I don't think he thought that his sons could face any consequences for his actions. And
I don't think
that's
so either.
where he messed up.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, I also am not about to, I guess for me, like, yeah, we can acknowledge like the things that played into it, of course, and that's what you are always going to do. But for me, I'm just kind of like, but also like
the punishment didn't fit the crime for
him acting this way though does not shock. I guess to me, I'm like, why would I ever expect Dion to be anything less than the cocky asshole that he has always been? Like, why would I expect anything less? I'm going to expect him to act like his kid is the best, whether his kid is not the best or not the best. Because also, like, what is he? Any dad is not really about to sit down and be like, I guess he could speak about Shedeur in a way that was like more subjective, but like, why would he? That's his kid. Why would he? It's the same thing with LeVar. Like, why would he's gonna act like his kids are the best to ever touch basketballs because those are his kids. Like,
yes,
Dion feeling like Shedeur is who he is, and Shiloh even is who he is a byproduct of him being a dad. Like, he's allowed to feel that way. Did he have to do all that extra stuff? No, I agree.
And that's
with you,
what I'm talking about. Like
going
you,
but also
on
like
First Take
I am
and
not
going
shocked.
on these places.
I'm not shocked
and
at him
saying that
like
you're gonna run the NFL and that you're gonna do like
he's been doing that though. He's been saying ridiculous things. Like he's
and that's
but
just because he's been like it doesn't mean it's not always something that is a problem. Like saying like you've been like it doesn't excuse it is all I'm saying.
I'm not
and so I was just highlighting.
Like, how else was he gonna act? Like, let's be for real. How else was he gonna act?
My thing is, it's just like, bro, like at a certain point, you might want to like grow up, like just a little bit, because it's just like you like legitimately, he is hurting his kids by doing that. Is all I'm saying. Like literally, whether it was true or not, there were because everyone is selfish and different things like that. Dion made a comment where he was basically like, I would only go to the NFL if I got to coach my son, right? And that had coaches like, oh, if I draft Shedeur, Dion's going to try to replace me. So like, not only do I have to deal with Dion, and I don't know Shedeur's talent, I have to worry about Dion coming for my job.
Yeah.
Like it's things
which we
like
now
that.
know is not true, obviously, because he signed a 5-year contract with Colorado.
But we didn't know that when he was saying that 6 months ago. All that. So my thing is just like, again, the punishment doesn't fit the crime. But and being honest about this, I also just wanted to say that Dion set his son up for failure.
I think, but the thing about it is when you are someone's namesake, even Bronny, when you are someone's namesake, when you're in the family, whether as the kid or as the parent, you kind of are damned if. It's very damned if, because even if Dion didn't say anything and didn't do anything, Shedeur would still be judged for him being Deion Sanders' son.
Sort of, but there are also examples of it not being that way. Who talks about Shaq's kids?
Well, Shaq's kids aren't actively. They're not even.
They all hoop. Shaq's kid
No,
was
they
trying
all
to go to
hoop,
the
but like,
NFL. Shaq's kid was trying to go to the NBA.
are
Shaq's
they
kid,
old enough yet? I'm
yes,
serious. I
yes,
really don't
yes.
know.
Shaq had a kid who I think went undrafted and is like playing overseas and stuff. Sharif O'Neal, and
Oh,
he also had but it's also just like right like, and I want to be clear. I am not talking about Zaya because people talk about her. Who
yeah.
talks about Dion's son?
Is he
I mean,
trans?
sorry, Dwayne Wade's son.
I don't know anything about the kids.
That's
Is the
what I'm
point.
saying.
That's the point. But I'm saying, but those
Dwayne Wade's son was trying to get in the NBA. He's on the G League team. Like that's what I'm saying. But like there are examples of other players who also are big and who are Hall of Famers and who have kids who did not make it as far as them, and they acted differently. Like Dwayne Wade is in the media all the time, and Dwayne Wade wasn't sitting out there and my son is the greatest, that all this other kind of stuff. And so when his son,
that's also not consistent with how Dwayne Wade would behave normally.
but my thing is, you're saying, oh, if you're a son of this player, this sort of happens. But my thing is, there are other ways to do it. Like there are other ways to do it, and there are other people who have done it other ways.
But why
who are
would we
just
expect
as
Shedeur Sanders to do that? That's what I'm saying. Why are
but
we
it's
expecting
not.
behavior from him that is not within
But whether we expect it or not, saying I expect him to act like this doesn't mean you should excuse him for acting like that. That's all I'm
not
saying.
excusing it. I'm just saying like.
But saying like why we expect different is excusing it. It's
No.
very much it is. It's like
I'm just saying like to expect Dion to be humble all of a sudden.
I'm not expecting it. I'm just talking about how what he did, he got away with it because of his talent. He tried to do the same thing with all of his kids, and it did not work the same because they did not have the talent, and he did not learn. Shedeur is his youngest son. He didn't learn with Shiloh, and he didn't learn with Deion Sanders Sr., who does not play football anymore and is great with media and cameras, but he didn't learn any lesson. And then because Shedeur plays quarterback and all the other things, he just never learned a lesson. And at the end of the day, you can say he always acts like that, which is true, but you can also admit he probably should have learned that lesson. It would have been better for Shedeur to learn the lesson.
Either way, though, when you are in these, and this is just going to continue to happen because all these athletes have kids that are old enough to now be drafted, right? Like you're going to have I was even watching because Scottie Pippen Jr. is on oh my God, the Grizzlies. No. Jesus Christ. Scottie Pippen Jr. is in the playoffs currently. And they even make comparisons between him and his dad. And it's like, when you are this kid of somebody who is a high-level athlete, yes, they can act a certain way or whatever, but you're still going to be associated, judged, whatever, based on who your parent is.
Yeah, but those are two separate things.
How are those two separate things? Like I'm saying, yes, I think I'm agreeing with you. Deion's behavior probably contributed to it. I'm not sitting here saying it's not. I'm just not going to sit here and also expect him to act any other way. Like, yes.
I'm not expecting anything. I'm just saying he hurt his son by acting like Deion.
But I also am not going to put it all on Deion either because Shedeur also could have showed up and acted like he'd been somewhere.
But you disagree with me like 6 months ago when I said Shedeur needs to stop acting like he's Deion because he's not.
No. I'm just saying like I'm expecting them to act like that because I've had exposure to the Sanders family and they are all like that. So for me, I'm just more so speaking from my perspective of knowing Deion Sanders Jr. personally and knowing that he thought he was the best thing since sliced cheese. His sister thinks that she's the best thing since sliced cheese because that is how Deion raised all of his children, was to believe that they are the best things since sliced cheese.
I love the confidence. I love the nepotism. I love all of that. I love that they'll be taken care of no matter what they do.
Exactly. And they all have their own things going on and they're all confident, well-adjusted, young Black people.
And that ultimately that is the goal. Like, and which is
and
why I have never and will never say that Deion is a bad father. That is not even where I'm going with this. It's just like I think that if Deion cut his antics down, Shedeur probably would have been drafted in the third round.
I don't think
more specifically, if Shedeur took the job process seriously,
that's what I'm saying. I think that is what hurt him the most.
And where I think Deion messed up is right at the end of the day, right? Like if you're as a father, if your kid does something, like you like. We've talked about this so long, but like there's like a thing, right, in higher education where it's talking about first generation students, right? And it talks
Mhm.
about how hard college is for first generation students, right? Like, and
I'm
so
first generation, so yes.
one of the benefits to having a debt, right? Like the statistics show one of the biggest precursors to being a professional athlete is having one. It doesn't even have to be a dad. Do you know how many people? I mean, fucking Jeremiah Smith's cousin is Geno Smith. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Mhm.
doesn't always have to be a father, right? But it's
Mhm, mhm.
uncles, right? Like Joey and Nick Bosa, their dad and uncle played in the NFL, and their mom was a track star, right? You can
Mhm.
run down the list. The Cromartie
Sarah
cousins,
Strong, both of her
right?
parents were
Sarah
elite
Strong, both of
athletes.
her, right?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
and her dad didn't last in the NBA as long as her mom, but they played overseas.
yeah.
The Cromartie cousins, right? And Isaiah Rogers, who plays for the Colts, I believe is related to the Cromartie because one of them is something Rogers Cromartie and the other one just Cromartie
Yeah,
or whatever. And Isaiah Rogers is a part of that family. Like
yeah.
you run down the list, the biggest precursor is having a family member who made it first. And so at the end of the day, Dion did not prepare his son for a job interview.
No.
And
And
that
Shedeur also has complete free will.
autonomy, yes.
Yeah, so he could have
Because
also toned it down as well and did all those things, but to
and the
me, that
example
does
I
not
give,
warrant
no,
the
that's never
reaction.
what I was saying. It doesn't the punishment does not fit the crime.
That's
At
what, and
worst,
that's the only
he
thing I'm
should have been
like,
a
I
third
don't
round
really
pick.
care about how they acted because they still
But
the NFL still overreacted to it regardless.
I mean,
The NFL still overreacted to it.
right, but I mean, I think it's all true. I think
Yeah.
they did not handle it properly, at least Shedeur, and then the NFL overreacted, and the NFL was able to overreact because it was a black kid.
And I just feel like
All
when
of
you
that
have
is true.
young men who are rapists, one of the individuals I
That is
don't care to know his
insane.
name.
That is
Yes.
insane.
One of the individuals, I do not care to know his name, but he had allegations at two separate universities and he got drafted beforehand. Like the biggest thing that I took from this is we're not going to act like the NFL is the standard for morality. Okay.
no,
These people
it's
are getting signed contracts for
yes,
rapists,
yep,
abusers. People are beating up their
mm-hmm.
women on camera and their
Yep.
own kids, Tyreek Hill, their own children.
Mm-hmm.
And they are still hailed and celebrated as these wonderful. So we're not about to now turn around and point our fingers and be like, oh, but Shedeur's attitude, that is so bad. Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah. But that's the NFL is fake, right? And so if you show the right attitude, if you have the right level of
If you
talent,
act
and you
so happy
have the
that
right
master looked you in the eye and
attitude
let you into the house and
in
let
the
you have some
building,
cornbread.
they don't care what you do outside the building. And that is sad. And that is sick. And that is wrong. And the NFL is never clearly going to be held accountable for that. But that is
That's why I hope the
insane.
UFL.
And
I hope the
ultimately,
UFL really just blows up and gives them some real competition. I really do.
it won't, unfortunately. And
I know.
the UFL has so many NFL people, and it's not going to be better. But ultimately, like the truth of the matter is, like I genuinely feel bad for Shedeur because
Same.
like he did not like people bomb job interviews all the time. Like he did not deserve what he did, and then on top to add insult to injury, all of the coverage, right? All of the coverage, and then also other people's moments who were ruined by this, right? Because like black people all the time, they want to record the video, they want to have these things there, and this is maybe minor, and people may not care about that. There are going to be people who can't even show the clip of when they get drafted because it's going to say drafted DJ Jones, and this person was drafted over Shedeur. And it was immediately about Shedeur. Like that was unfair to Shedeur. It was unfair to some of the other people. The media also will never be held accountable for their actions. And
they kept getting notifications about him not getting drafted and all of this.
It's just a sad story. Like overall, it's unfortunate, and I wish him all the success in the world. I hope that he does good enough where he gets to leave the Browns and then be a good quarterback somewhere else. But like ultimately, like I wish him all the best. I hope that he goes in and he perfects his craft because he is talented. I never thought he was a first round pick, but I didn't think he was a scrub. He is talented. He does have some things. He's tough as hell. And I hope that honestly, I'm not concerned. I think he beats out Dylan Gabriel. I hope he starts for the Browns this year.
I hope he starts.
I hope he proves everybody wrong.
I will say one more thing. I really, really hope that there's some type of, I don't know what, but some type of punishment for those people who prank called him. That is absolutely disgusting and foul. and that
I
is
didn't
not
even.
fucking funny.
Yeah, I didn't
That
even
is
listen to the video. Like,
horrible. Oh, I didn't listen to the video either. But from what I understand, Shedeur bought another phone specifically for this moment, which means that there's no way that his number would have just been out there like that. So that means that somebody from the inside also helped with this prank. A lot of people are drawing connections that I'm not in the mood to draw right now, but a lot of people are drawing connections as to who could potentially have leaked his number and all of that. But that is not fucking funny.
nope.
I don't give a damn. I don't care. You do not play with people like that. I'm all for a good prank. I think, whatever. I think that type of stuff is whatever. I think we can all have a sense of humor, but to play with him like that was absolutely rude and disgusting. And I really hope that, I don't know what type of punishment they can get because it's not criminal to prank people, but like, that's really fucked up. And you're a fucked up person for thinking that that's funny. Like,
The
come
NFL
on.
the NFL is looking.
They are looking into it.
and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know either.
So at least what the NFL can do is the NFL can ban
They can ban them,
from all NFL stadiums, which at
Yeah.
bare minimum I hope happens.
I hope they do that. That's ridiculous. Like, what made you think that was funny? This is already like this big issue that's going on and a lot of people have been saying too that they feel like, and I don't know, I don't agree. I can see why people might draw this conclusion, but I thought it was funny. I wanted to ask your opinion about it. People have been saying they feel like they also dropped Shedeur down in order to increase the ratings, in order to get people to watch the draft longer. And so people were saying they really would be curious to see the draft ratings prior to Shedeur getting picked and then after. I don't know if it was that conspiracy like that, but like that is kind of funny. Like, I just want to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that. I when it comes to stuff like that, I don't believe that the media and these leagues are in cahoots that much, right? Because like that takes an agreement of 32 teams, but it's funny, and I will at least say for sure the media company and everything, they are not mad about it at all.
They were very
and
that's why they kept reporting on it.
That. Right.
That is why they kept reporting on it. Because to me, I'm like, if we were going to talk about everybody's drops, we 100% should have been talking about Quinn Ewers dropping just as much.
Because that was also a big story.
Also, we were in our power suite by this at this point.
No, this is the show. This is the show. Yeah,
this is our slight recap.
Yeah. So it's this is my final reminder that the NFL is full of idiots. And I do not say this often. I almost never say this because I think it is disrespectful. But I know for an absolute fact I would be better at drafting and a better GM than half of the NFL. And it is solely
because why some of them are GMs?
Football.
Nepotism.
Hey, talk about it. So
the NFL is the worst good old boys league I've ever seen in my life. It's the worst. It is the worst.
Baseball. no ma'am. It's
I forgot about baseball. I ain't gonna lie to you. I forgot about baseball. You get with that. I forgot. I'm one of those people, like when people are like, oh, the top 4 leagues in America, I'm like, which one's the 4th? And because I'll be forgetting about baseball. I'm like hockey, basketball, football, like soccer.
Women's college basketball is the 3rd one.
I'm like, the 4 leagues, like what?
So
yes, there is baseball. NBA, I forgot. NBA, that is
NFL,
true.
What is this? NWS.
Nothing. I'm like,
so you count the NHL? You be like football, basketball. You be like football, basketball, hockey, and then be like, that's hilarious. That is so funny because I know for a fact you don't watch hockey.
I don't watch. No, but here's the thing: I do not watch hockey. I don't. But I went to a hockey game for the first time this year, and it was enjoyable. So if the hockey is on, I will watch it. But I'm just not like, hockey is like soccer to me, and soccer is kind of hard for me to watch. Like, I can't really watch it on TV. I enjoy it more in person. So that's why I'm just like, I would go to hockey games for sure.
I think I can enjoy almost anything in person.
That's true. Baseball in person is a vibe.
It's lit.
Baseball in person is very fun. I've gone to some Frisco Rough Rider games, which is obviously
come to New York so we can go to a Yankees game.
I would be down. I went to a Texas Rangers game. I didn't love it though because the new Rangers facility is so huge that it's hard to like enjoy, if that makes sense. But I'm not getting into that today. But the point is, I be forgetting about baseball. But so baseball is the worst, but the NFL is not too far behind when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
Not too far
Oh, for
behind.
sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. So, boy. Any other?
One time. Let's get into this two minute
any?
warning.
No,
I'm done.
no, no, no. That's the show. Any other? Any final NFL draft
Oh, we're not
thoughts?
going to do the 2 minute warning?
No. Oh, yeah. You said a 2 minute warning. Sorry, I'm getting
Yeah,
my
yeah.
twos mixed up. Any
Please
final draft
learn the
thoughts?
segments of our show, please.
Any final draft thoughts?
Somebody tweeted, and I think I think there's a little movement going on TikTok where everybody is deciding to buy Shedeur's merch from his personal website instead of the NFL.com, so that way they can directly support him and recoup the money that he obviously lost by being a 5th round pick. And I just think this is so hilarious that now people are really about to galvanize behind this young man in this situation and like propel his like fandom, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah, I would just
So
say the answer is never black capitalism, but
I mean, hey,
I'm rooting for everybody black.
I'm rooting for
the
everybody
money
black.
could
I
go.
can't root for the
The money could go somewhere else. So, but
yes.
the answer
I
is
can
never black capitalism.
I can never ever in my life in my years ever root for the Cleveland Browns. I just cannot.
No.
So that's the only problem is that like I'm rooting for you, Shedeur. I'm always rooting for you, honey. But I cannot root for the Cleveland Browns. Not when they signed somebody like Deshaun Watson. That's just never going to be the vibes. But hey, congratulations to everybody who got drafted. Shiloh also got his immediately after the draft got signed as an undrafted free agent to the Bucks. Yeah. So, you know, shout out to the Sanders family. I really do hope that Shedeur just kind of takes shit all over everybody. And it's just like, yeah, y'all dumb as hell for doing these antics.
Yeah. Side note, I think it's hilarious. I was scrolling on Twitter as I sometimes do in case there's something important to talk about. I obviously haven't listened to it, but there's like an interview where someone's talking about to Bill Belichick, and they ask him where him and his like 13-year-old girlfriend met, and she stepped in and wouldn't answer the question. Like basically based on the feedback, won't let him answer the question. And I would just like to say, I don't appreciate that we are like, and I understand letting is the wrong word because what are we going to do to stop it? But yeah. I just don't appreciate that we are letting Bill Belichick at 70 fucking whatever parade around with a 23-year-old on his arm while also then being a coach of college football where his players are the same age or older than his girlfriend. Like I'm sorry, I just like
bring back shame.
Bring back shame. Bring like some like we're just acting like that's normal. It's just fine that this 70 and like it happens fine, but also it's just like nobody's like
you are not
going to hire him to be your head coach and let him have this 23-year-old girl like it's I just think it's weird. And I think it's crazy that we are not like just everyone just fine with it. It's just like there's just nothing. It's just like Bill Belichick has a 23-year-old girlfriend who would be too young for his son to date. She's too young for his kids. His kids
she's too young
40.
in general. She's basically 12. Like she's too young in general. In general. I agree with you. The thing about it is I have given up on society when it comes to judging men who date young women. I have given up on it. Leonardo DiCaprio has been known to date nobody under the age of 25 for like a decade, and nobody has anything to say about it. Harvey Weinstein was able to get away with what he got away with because nobody has anything to say about R. Kelly. The list goes on and on. Like I have given up on society and actually being able to get to a point where we shame people really for dating that young. Well, but also women get at least a little bit more shame. Like Drea is of course getting dragged every day for being with Jalen Green when he's the same age as her son. But when it comes to the men's side, child, there is nothing because we live in a misogynistic society that puts value on a woman's youth and beauty. We don't get too woke. I'm gonna put it right there. I'm gonna put a pin in it right.
All right. To wrap up the show, 2-minute warning.
You went and decided to battle your FOMO. So
I just have to say,
you better not give me no spoilers.
You have to go see this movie.
I can't
on
wait.
Tuesday. on
I'm
Tuesday.
trying.
You honestly should go today. I don't care. Don't clean your house. No one cares. Go to this. Go see this
No,
movie. Like nobody
I'm
cares if
no,
you
no,
have a
no.
clean
I'm
house.
waiting to go.
You
Me and my
look.
best friend have
I
a pact. We
tell
are
her to
going to
get
see
it
it together.
together.
She got her wisdom teeth out, and she
I
does
don't
not go to
care.
movies without being able to eat popcorn. And
She'll
I,
get.
damn it, my best friend will get her popcorn.
You're a better person than me.
I
No, I'm just
know I
kidding.
shouldn't have made that promise.
This
I
it is so good. It is so good.
know. I
Like
want to
and it like
go.
everyone's talking about how good it is, and it honestly does not.
Do it justice.
It doesn't. And it is literally like the best way that I can describe it is watching that movie in the theater specifically, it felt like the ancestors were in the room. And
Period. I love
that is
ancestral
that
moments.
is a very unique that is like a very unique experience, but it like it
But
genuinely
I know
felt like that.
exactly what you mean by that. I've had that
It's
feeling.
like the movie is so good. It's honestly perfect. And it's just without revealing things, just the ability to make a movie, right, where it's in a quote unquote contemporary genre with horror, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
for the right population, the vampires are only part of the horror, right?
yeah.
It's just it's just like Nope, right? It's just
Yeah, the
like
horror is more
it's
about the
just like
concept.
it's
Yeah.
just like Get Out, like, specifically Get Out, where it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
the concept.
yeah, like it's horror, but like for a specific population, it's just so much deeper than that. But then also the time and effort that he put into to show the history and these concepts and some of the things that he touches on, like obviously like slavery and sharecropping and religion and
And the
ancestral
blues, the Delta blues, all of
blues
that.
and and the like the relationship with like Christianity and Black people and the relationship between East Asians and Black people in Black neighborhoods and like the it's just
It's one of those things where it's like you feel seen when you see those types of that type of cinematography. And this is why I'm so happy that we have people like Issa Rae and Ryan Coogler and Jordan Peele and even Tyler Perry, if I'm being honest, making content that is so particularly Black. Like as a person, you could be a Black person and enjoy this content, but you feel it in a different place as a Black person
and
because
and even like because they're right like there's Native Americans in there, right, and they're
yeah,
East Asian family in there, like even I've seen them talk about like the movie just makes you think and it makes you reflect, and there's so many things in it that you sort of like think about and not in like a but it's not in a gimmicky way either, because like right
it's
like
yeah, it's very
people
authentic.
try to say with like conscious rappers when they're trying to put all these bars, like it's very much
Yeah,
like it makes you think because it's just true.
yeah.
It's just true, like how it's woven in there. It's all it's historical fiction. It's all from a historical. The movie is excellent. It is very good. Like I can't wait to go see it again. I've been thinking about it since I watched it. I've been
Ugh,
watching videos. There's so much sort of detail, and it's just like one like even like they're just the way people are reflecting on it, right? Like
mm,
there's a character in there that if you understand Black people, you understand colorism, you understand proximity to whiteness, like all of these sort of things, right? There's a character in the movie that, and that had people questioning, like, oh, why was I surprised that she was a love interest and
oh,
not
I've been hearing
and
about
not
that. Yeah,
a
yeah.
caretaker and not
Not a
like
mother.
a mom and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
there's just so many like little things in it that's just, and also it's just good, it's funny. Like I don't think Michael B. Jordan's the best actor in the world, and this is one of his better acting jobs. The singing is great. Like everyone who sings can sing. Like there's like perfectly timed comedic moments. Like
It's a
it
good
is
movie, okay? I get it. I'm going to
yeah.
go see it. I'm trying.
And I will just say the last thing I'll say about the movie is that I literally said this to Zaria. I was like, I'm so glad that like our kids and like future generations, when we talk about classics and we talk about Black classics, they're gonna have Ryan
We
Coogler and
have
they're gonna
more.
have
Yeah,
Jordan Peele and they're gonna have Issa Rae. And like, don't get me wrong, I love Friday, right? I
yeah.
love, but like, so if we're being honest, so many of our
All of our
Black
classics are comedies.
sitcoms, but not only just that, so many of our Black sitcoms don't live up to the time. Do you know? Have you recently tried to watch the Jamie Foxx show?
I have.
That show is so fucking creepy. With
He's
like just the like, but it's not even just him. It's the light skinned dude too. Like the object, just like
the way that they talk about
misogyny
fancy.
and sex and
Woo!
like sexual harassment and like all of these
Oh,
things, right? Like
yes,
I love Martin,
yes.
right? But you watch Martin and the colorism and it's just like
Between
there's
him and
so
Gina,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so
Well,
many
between Gina and Pam, yeah.
there's so many things in these things and like right you watch it and you understand that movies and TV shows and art are time capsules and so much of it is the time, right? Like you watch NWA and they're openly talking about beating women because that's what they were doing in the 90s, right? Like you watch these things and you listen to music, like it's time capsules, right? But at the same time, there are things that are genuinely hard to watch, right? I mentioned it. I was talking to you about Eddie Murphy's comedy specials. Eddie Murphy's comedy
Mhm.
specials are, but it's full of race, well, not race, but it's full of like sexist, homophobe. He has a whole like segment against about gay people, and then in the next one he references that segment and basically says like gay people are standing on top of cars making siren noises looking for him because they got mad at his jokes, like it, and so it is just very nice that we're going to have comedy and drama. You're gonna have Easter egg. You're gonna have. I haven't watched it yet, but you're gonna have Lovecraft Country. You have Sinners and Nope. You have horror. You have these things that will also stand the test of time. As much as, of course, my kids
Yeah,
are
I
gonna
mean,
watch
but we couldn't
Friday
expect
and they're gonna cry and set it off. And like they have like all of these things are important too. But it is just nice that they're gonna have a
more.
certain width and depth of things that truthfully, like you said, all of our
Yeah,
stuff is comedy. It's all comedies. Like now you
yeah,
have dramas and you have like it's just very exciting. Like I'm very happy
yeah.
about that.
I will say with the to the sitcom point though, like I can't get too mad because at the time that was completely
Yeah,
okay.
they're all
Yeah,
time capsules, but
yeah. That's what I was
but
like.
some of them become like, and there are others I would still watch Martin, but the Jamie Foxx show was a little much for me.
It was cringy. It's
It
cringy.
was it was a little
I'm watching the Steve Harvey show currently, and there's some moments in there that's pretty cringy too between him and the Wendy Raquel Robinson character, the principal.
mhm.
It was like I she liked him back, so it's fine, but he was still like doing too
Yeah,
much.
but my and I don't want to get stuck on this, but like my thing was like there are cringy moments, but for me with the Jamie Foxx show, it felt like that was the whole plot.
Yeah,
And that's what made it too hard to watch.
yeah.
Like even with Martin, right? Like Martin and Pam is not the plot of the show, so that can be tough at times, and there can be like little jokes and things that like, ooh, that didn't age. But like with the Jamie Foxx, it felt like the whole thing was just sexual
About
harassment.
him trying to get fancy and all the different crazy things he was
Yeah,
doing.
and it was just
Yeah,
like it was
yeah.
a
It
little
was
much, a
something.
little much.
It was something.
Yeah.
It was something, but also like glamorizing men harassing women. Wow, what a shock in this misogynistic society that we live in. My 2 minute warning is actually going to be 2 minutes because you're long winded. I am so excited. I got this book, and it's called "You've Been Chosen." It is by Cynthia, but she goes by Stint Marshall. She was the first Black female CEO of an NBA team. She was the Mavericks CEO, and she basically showed what it looks like to act to appropriately implement DEI in the front office of a major sports team. When she started at the Mavericks, the majority of the staff was white and male. By the time she left, it was 50% female and 50% people of color. And she laid out the groundwork for how you can really diversify a front office to the point where many, many other teams in the NBA and other professional teams in general are following the model that she created at the Mavericks. She's no longer at the Mavericks. Her last season was this past season, but she is still a consultant with them. But I got to meet her. I got to talk to her, shake her hand, take pictures with her. And she did sign my book and write my name in it. And I just am very, very proud of this piece of literature. And she's a Black woman who's unapologetically herself. The book is really about taking who you are and your magic and who you know you are to be, and never letting anybody dim that. And as a Black girl with a big personality, who I know sometimes I can be off-putting, or people may not necessarily receive me very well, or people want me to shrink myself, I've never felt more seen. And to know that this woman was the CEO of the Mavericks, like, I just feel like the sky is the limit for me. And I'm just so happy that I have this. So that's not cheating.
We love to see it, truly. As always, thank you for listening. Follow the show. You can search us on YouTube, Power 2 Podcast. You can follow the our network, Get Defensive Sports Network. Um, and the
Go
NFL
Shedeur.
must, yeah,
Oh,
the NFL must pay for their crimes. They won't, but they must pay for their
they
crimes. We
must.
will catch you next week.